Hello and welcome back to Second Chance MTG. We are going to have a very interesting match to show you today. We're going to be playing Mono White Stax versus Grixis Delver. Ryan is going to be piloting his fun build, and Eric is going to be staying true to his colors. He really loves this deck, and he does quite well with it. So we'll see how this match performs. We've got myself, Charlie, and Bethany is here with me as well, and we're going to be doing the commentary for you today. So I hope you guys enjoy as you get to watch some fun matches of Legacy today. Ryan will start it off with an Ancient Tomb, laying down Chalice of the Void. Looks like Eric's not going to allow that Chalice for one. He's going to force it, going down to 19. So what an interesting first play of the game. You have any thoughts?
It was probably good for Eric to force that, especially, with Ryan on the play, getting that Chalice out. I'm guessing, with whatever Eric had in his hand, he knew that wasn't going to be good for him, so he decided it was worth the force of will there.
So it looks like Eric's going to just lead off on a Delver of Secrets and pass the turn back to Ryan, who will go ahead and lay down Ancient Tomb, another Mishra's Factory, and Trinisphere. This is a very interesting play here. If it looks like it's allowing to stick, flipping the Force of Will after the Trinisphere lands, never a welcome, happy sight, but Eric might just be able to mitigate this whole problem by just swinging in with Delver every turn. Looks like that's exactly what he's going to do. From this point, it's just a race that I believe Eric is a little bit ahead of Ryan with, because he's got a three power creature on the board. He's got counter spells in hand, which he can cast nothing. Ryan, on the other hand, can cast maybe one thing, because you have to have at least 3 mana. He'll use that Ancient Tomb again, even though he's able to cast stuff, he's taking damage. And so Tanglewire will actually help him here. He's going to tap down permanents. It'll buy him some turns. It'll also buy Eric the turns that he may need to get lands, which, why did he tap that Polluted Delta? Is that not a Polluted Delta? Am I missing something here? It looks like a Polluted Delta to me. Why did he tap that for mana? Is that a Nurborg on the field? Maybe I'm missing. I thought it was Mishra's Factory.
On whose side of the board are you talking about?
Yeah, it looks like Ryan has an... No, that's not an Urborg. That's a Mishra's Factory, and that's an Ancient Tomb.
In 2 Ancient Tombs.
Oh, he tapped it for Tanglewire. I'm just very bad at understanding. Yes, Tanglewire tapped those. That's he didn't actually just tap it for mana and then not sacrifice it. Okay, I'm so confused. So yeah, Ryan is just controlling these few turns that he has before he's not going to have enough permanents to tap, and all of a sudden, I don't know why you... Oh yeah, because the Trinisphere, ironically, even though he has a Trinisphere on the field, it doesn't actually work if he chooses to tap the Trinisphere. It's very interesting text box on that card, Trinisphere, that as long as Trinisphere is untapped, each spell that would cost less than 3 costs at least 3. So Trinisphere is always checked last in terms of the taxes between what cards can cost more or what cards cost less, pluses and minuses, and Trinisphere is checked last. So it's very interesting how it also has that other side text box that nobody ever really pays much attention to, that it has to be untapped for it to work. So. And that's why Ryan is choosing not to tap it. And it looks like Eric is able to swing in for 3. Now Ryan is at a critical point of his life. He's at 10 life. This is not looking good for Ryan. He's got 2 Ancient Tombs in the field.
Yes, I was just going to say the same thing.
You see, Eric doesn't really have to do much. All he has to do
Looks like Ryan did get another land.
Yeah, I mean, oh, had Ryan had any sort of pressure on the board, maybe he could actually race this, but without having any pressure on the board and having the Ancient Tombs and having only the temporary reprieve from the Tangle Wire, it's not enough. He needs something stable, something that's going to stick and actually make a difference here. Smokestack, that's an interesting card. That'll provide him a few more turns, depending on how long it can last with this whole attacking with Delver here. Looks like it's going to be allowed to stick because Eric does not have 3 mana to counter it. On his upkeep, he's attempting... Oh, he's just tapping one thing for the Tangle Wire. Tangle Wire, it says tap a permanent, tap an artifact creature or land you control for each fade counter on Tangle Wire. And there's only one fade counter left, and as soon as he removes the last fading counter, Tangle Wire will be sacrificed. Eric does not have 3 lands, so therefore he has 0 spells. So all that hand that he seemingly has in his hand, he doesn't have, thanks to Transfer. There are some cards in Magic the Gathering that just kind of take over the game. Trinisphere is one of those. Especially in a format that's dominated by 1-cost spells. You can already see the impact it's had on this game. It's allowed Ryan, who, for all intents and purposes, is very far behind the race, bought him several turns from 1 card. Anyway, Ryan looks like he's casting 4 mana, taking 2 damage again for Armageddon. He's putting himself in a box here because he has nothing with which to get rid of the Delver, and all it's going to take is a few more turns of Delver swinging in. I see no way out of this for Eric for countering it. I also see no way out of it for Ryan for saving himself. He's got to get 3 mana just to be able to interact with the board again because of Trinisphere. Besides getting to 3 mana, he's got a 3/2 flyer he has to deal with. You might think, well, maybe he can just swords it, or maybe he can just, I don't know what other answers mono white Stax plays. I don't know, they play, sometimes they play O-Ring, or why that Delver was just, oh, it was sacrificed due to, now that was interesting. I did not see that, but that actually is very good. Ryan just one-sided board wiped an entire board of Eric by Armageddoning, destroying all of Eric's lands, leaving him only with the 1 permanent of Delver. He was required to sacrifice it due to Smokestack. So it looks like it was actually beneficial for Ryan to do that. Now the game has become very awkward. This is no longer a game of Magic the Gathering. This is a game of draw, go, draw, go. If you haven't seen a game of draw, go, I advise you to take special note of this game, because you don't need to play lands, and you can just draw a card and say go. That's how you play this game. Ryan, oh no, he's breaking the cycle. He drew a land, Mishra's Factory. All right, well, 2 more of those, and you get a spell. Oh no, Eric will follow that up. The joys of Trinisphere and no lands. Draw, go. That's what happens. Very interesting. So the Grixis Delver shell, the deck, does not run many lands. And by doing so, let me get back to the main screen here. I just realized I was on Ryan for a while there, but Grixis Delver does not run many lands. Oh, that was good. He drew another Mistress Factory, and he's able to attack with 2 damage to Eric, and that's going to be a constant pressure. Just because the Grixis Delver does not run many lands, that's going to give Ryan a really good advantage here, because by him Armageddoning even just once, it's going to put such a tempo disadvantage on Eric, because now he's pressured to find 3 lands in a deck that is already choked for lands. And I think it was very wise of him not to play the land that he had in his hand for a while there. Say he would have fetched, it would have actually taken another land out of his deck, which would have made his chances of drawing one of those lands even smaller. And that's not the route that he needs to go to get back in this game. Ryan is only at 5, so if he can just squeeze out a few more points of damage, that's all it'll take. So he needs to play very conservatively with his mana here. Ryan, on the other hand, he has a constant steady beating. He has lots of choices for things that he can play. Looks like he will choose to play a card instead of take 2 damage off of Eric's life total this turn. He's going to play a Crucible of Worlds after playing a City of Traders, giving him 3 mana, and next turn he's going to be able to actually start getting a huge advantage for tempo, more so than Eric had. That actually does go through Transfer. Okay. I was going to say he has to pay 3 for that, but no, he does not. See, that's the kind of tempo advantage that he needed. It gets through Trinisphere because it does cost at least 3. Gurmag Angler does, in fact, cost 7. Even though you only are required to play, technically, 1 black mana. Ryan, looking at the hand here, does he have anything to deal with this? He's got also stuff in his graveyard. Now, if he would have played something like Maze of Ith, or, you know, what's that? Okay, he's got a Plains, and you know, that colored mana could make all the difference here, because depending on what he has, he could potentially, looks like he's got a Ghostly Core, yeah, Ghostly Prison. And so that will actually help slightly, but not enough. Not what he needs, because if he doesn't play a Tanglewire here, he is just going to flat out lose the game next turn. So he's forced to play Tanglewire to survive another turn. That'll actually buy him 2 turns in the current board state for Eric here. Eric cannot actually cast Force of Will. He does not have 3 mana. Even though it does have 5 in the casting cost, it still must pay at least 3. And the alternate casting cost does not get through Trinisphere. It looks like the players are deliberating on how the ruling works, but looks like they are realizing that you know, he's not allowed to do that. So it was a good attempt, you know, and that's one of those confusing rules that these videos are actually beneficial for players who might be watching this and wondering how these interactions work. Well, that's how that works. With Force of Will and with Trinisphere, you still have to pay the 3. So alternate casting costs still do not work in regards to the minimum requirement that Trinisphere imposes on the field. You know, Crucible of Worlds and Tanglewire, both of them still work just fine, just the way they're supposed to work, even if they're tapped. So now I'm confused. Looks like he played a City of Traders out of his graveyard and then drew a card. Unless I saw that wrong, but I'm pretty sure he just did that. Okay, so if that was the case, it looks like he mixed up his order. Yeah. Not the kind of things you'd want to do in a tournament. But looks like he's going to just take the safe route here. Swing in for 2. It's going to put on just a few more points of damage. See, Ryan's goal is just to take every incremental piece of advantage he can get. and those pieces add up to the whole. He's aiming for 20 life total. He's got to take the 2 damage whenever he gets the window, because the other decks in Legacy, even though they look like they're down, and there's so many other decks that are just tier 1 and are really good staple decks in the format, that that they can come back from situations that are seemingly looking like they're hopeless right here. Even though Ryan looks like he has a pretty stable advantage on the board right now. He's got cards in his hand he can interact, and he's got Wasteland's gonna help him out a ton, but he needs something right now to deal with that Gurmod Angular, and Eric can just top deck a land here. That's all it's gonna take to get through that Ghostly Prison. He's gonna have to pay 2 mana, and Ryan has no blockers. He's tapped out. If Eric top decks a land here, he just loses. Ryan just loses, because that's all it's going to come down to here, folks. Will Eric's draw? Nope. Tangle Wire? Yeah, never mind. Take that back. Tangle Wire will actually stop that. What's really bad actually for Eric here is that he tapped his fetch land. Though he doesn't play any basic lands, by his fetch land being tapped. And he played another one. You see, but by his fetch land being tapped, it's going to allow Ryan to play a Wasteland from his graveyard and actually Wasteland the tapped fetch land. Not too often you get to do Wasteland to a fetch land and it actually hit the fetch land, but in this case, it will. What an interesting game this has become here. Still, it's looking like he needs some way to really figure out a closer on this game. Ryan's going to swing in for 2, get his points of damage where he can get them. And it looks like Eric's just going to take the damage, go down to 7, and we'll see where this goes. Top decks looks like a lightning. Nope, brainstorm. Not what he needs here, and unfortunately with the mono white Stax deck, you wonder what Eric could draw here to help him out. There's not much. He could draw a Gurmag Angular. That would help him. He could draw another land constantly. That's what he would have to do, just a steady patch of lands in his deck. That would also help him here. Ryan, on the other hand, he's just picking up answer after answer. He's got another Ghostly Prism in his hand. I see a Chalice of the Void. I see lots of things Ryan can do here. He's got another... Yeah, he's got another Wasteland. Even though Eric's got a 5/5 on the board, he's not going to be able to get through the Ghostly Prison. And it all comes down to that Trinisphere that bought him so many turns.
Mm-hmm.
Had Eric had a fetch land a Force of Will to stop the Trinisphere from hitting the board, so many of those turns that he lost earlier on in the game could have been mitigated and could have came back. But just allowing one hate card to actually stick such that it made a permanent effect on the board, it really changes the whole outcome of the game. Even though Eric here looks like he drew a Wasteland, it's not going to be what he needs. He's just going to go ahead and discard a Ponder. Even with that Trinisphere still, had it not been for that, he could play so many of the one-drop cards in his hand, but it's not going to matter. Ryan's got the Chalice of the Void in hand, had he wanted to. Looks like he cast a Mox Diamond, but he should have definitely paid 3 for that Mox Diamond. That should not have been for free, which would also not allow him to play this Lodestone Golem right now, because Lodestone Golem costs 4, but Ryan doesn't have 4 due to the fact that he should have paid 3 for the Mox Diamond. So, not that it's going to matter on the game state much or the board. Here, it's looking like it's going to be Eric just getting in a, some sort of a fight with this Lodestone Golem and Gurmag Angler, duking it out. Ryan, on the other hand, has got 2 Mishra's Factories on the side here. And Eric really cannot afford to take any damage from that Lodestone Golem, because as soon as that thing swings in, along with the Mishra's Factories, that would be the presumed play here by Ryan, that it's going to look pretty grim from... Yeah, Ghostly President. I think that's kind of unnecessary at this point. Yeah, Eric's just going to pack it up. Even though he may have been able to fight back with the, paying the 2... It's still... he had Lodestone Golem on the field. He would have to pay 3 to get any sort of interaction for non-artifact spells. So yeah, that was game 1. Highly interesting. The Mono White Stax deck presents this sort of a paradigm that you don't see so often in Legacy. There is some other prison-type shell decks in Legacy and other formats. But Mono White Stax is one of the unique prison decks. It stands apart from the others in what it has and what it does, and the facts of, it plays things like Armageddon. There's oftentimes a lot of those decks that need their lands and use their lands for later in the game, but Mono White Stax just says, I don't care about my lands, I'm just going to let them all go to the graveyard. And so players look in the sideboard here. A couple of key things I want to share with you real quick. Eric's got some interesting pieces in his sideboard that he can potentially use. Things that he may not expect to be that great, like Dismember. Even though you might look at it and think it doesn't have much of an interaction, I see it, he's looking at it, potentially might play it. It does get through Trinisphere, and it also is still castable for only 1 white mana, or 1 colorless mana, excuse me. And so that would be a piece of interaction that gets through not only Chalice of the Void, not only Trinisphere, but also would allow him the time he needs when he gets getting swung in by something like Lodestone Golem or Mishra's Factory. Ryan, on the other hand, he plays a bunch of interesting stuff in his deck sideboard. Looking at his sideboard, I know he plays things such as O-Stone, Council's Judgment, a bunch of random cards, Surgical Extractions, just kind of the typical hate sideboard that you could expect of any type of deck that incorporates white or prison. You're going to see a lot of the similarities in those types of decks sideboards. I would not be surprised to see stuff like Rest in Peace in his sideboard, even though he does play Surgicals. Other types of cards that are situational. I see Sphere of Resistance, that kind of stuff that would allow the game to be stalled. Eric does have stuff that he can put in to help him out a lot. We'll see how the next game goes here. Players are putting their sideboards in, and we're going to be going to game 2 in just a moment here, after Eric gets his sideboard all worked out. Looks like they're just kind of shuffling up.
Why, hello there.
What I should have done on site is I should have been raising things just to put them back in. Yeah, or no, because I can't cast it.
All right, so taking just a minute break here, and then the players looks like they're all shuffled up. Looks like they're getting ready for game 2. So this is going to be a very interesting game 2. After sideboarding, players have a few more pieces of interaction to deal with one another. So Ryan, one game up on the match here. You know, it all comes down to you know, how much interaction does Eric have to stall out the early hate that Ryan will want to put on the board. Because if he has the Force of Wills, the Dazes, anything to stop, looks like you know, Ryan's game plan here. Yep, there's the Daze. That's what he needs. He needs to have early interaction because you know, the game just gets away too fast if he doesn't. With him playing Delver on the turn 1, or not Delver, I'm sorry, but Deathrite Shaman, it's going to allow him to actually take value from those lands and actually deny Ryan lands, because now he still has mana due to the Deathrite Shaman, because Deathrite Shaman just takes lands from the graveyards and makes mana anyway. And it's going to allow him, you know, constant life gain and constant, you know, pressure on Ryan. All the pieces that you could ask for and bundled up in one little, you know, 1/2 elf for either green or black. You know, card is amazing. Looks like Ryan gets a basic plains and he's got a Mishra's Factory he's going to swing in. That could be a very dangerous play. Depends on what Eric has in his hand, but it looks like Eric does not have too much going on besides, you know, he's got Brainstorms, which means he has everything going on. So let's go ahead and eat your City of Traders, and I will play Brainstorm. Okay, looks like he's got a Gitaxian Probe, I see a Force of Will, and I see, is that another Gitaxian Probe he puts on top? I mean, you can't go wrong with 2 Gitaxian Probes and a Force. Use Gitaxian Probe, Force. Alright. Got it. Alright. There it is. So, yep, just going to pass it back. He really has no need for any type of interaction here. You know, Ryan looking at his board and wondering here, what is he going to do? Well, going to cast Crucible Worlds. End of turn, Eric will go ahead and exile, looks like a Brainstorm. Give Ryan 2 life loss. Eric's hand, is that another Force of Will? Yeah, it is. Okay. Okay, so he's going to cast Gitaxian Probe for free. He's going to see a hand of Armageddon, Lodestone Golem, Lodestone Golem, Lodestone Golem, and the Seer himself, who thought nots. Alright, we're going to see Eric picking up, I didn't see what he picked up. 3 Force of Wills in hand, and is that 3 blue cards? Because that would be a story. No, 2 blue cards, but still, you know, if one of them is Brainstorm, you might as well say three blue cards. Eric essentially has 3 counterspells in hand for free, not even including any sort of mana. Yeah, he's going to take a look at his graveyard. He's going to say, should I allow this Ghostly Prism? Because I, you know, might as well take that out. Well, you know, you got 3 counterspells in hand, but I mean, from Ryan's end, if he draws another land, he's going to start playing stuff like Lodestone Golem, which means Eric's mana is going to get a little bit tighter.
Absolutely.
And it's like he will go ahead and actually cast a Brainstorm here, end of turn. Okay, let's see what he gets. Land. Spell Pierce, and land. Okay. 2 lands and Spell Pierce. Alright. Looking like Eric's going to fetch. What's he going to get? He's going to probably get a tropical, maybe? Depends on what he wants to get here. He will go for the value from Deathrite Shaman and just get another Underground Sea. It's going to allow him to have only 2 colors in his pool of 3 that he could have. And with him being down to 8, due to the Mishra's Factory swingings, you know, it's a toss-up. Does he have any creatures in the graveyard to gain 2 life? Probably not. So, probably was the right play here to just get the Underground Sea. Plays a Wasteland for turn. That's going to buy him protection from that Mishra's Factory that Ryan, or at least one of them that Ryan can use. But he's got the Crucible World, so, you know, it'll buy him a turn at best. And he needs to get some sort of pressure, at least from Eric's end. Ryan actually top-decked a land, which is exactly what he needed. He's been waiting for that land for a few turns now, and that's going to allow him to actually cast things from his hand, such as Thought-Knot Seer or Lodestone Golem. He's got his choice of whatever he wants to do here. Judging by, yeah, it looks like Ryan will play the Lodestone Golem, which is going to allow him the benefit that he wants. He wants to be able to cast a card that not only will give him a constant beater, but allow him to force his opponent to pay more for his spells. And Eric's going to say that card is going to be too much of a detriment on me. He has to force a will that and take 1 life, which again, this mono white Stax looking for the inches. He'll take them wherever he can get them, and if Force of Will is going to give him an inch, he'll take it. Considering Ryan has 3 in hand, I don't think he much cares that one got Force of Will. Alright, so players are taking a look at, Eric's taking a look at his hand here, wondering, what his next move is, what his play is, what his strategy is going to be to get through, the Mishra's Factory and the Crucible World going on, and as well as, what he doesn't know about is Ryan's next turn and what his next play is going to be here. So he's got to take all these things into account. He looks like he's just going to take the land value off of for Ryan. So Ryan's not going to be able to actually recast. Alright, so if you've been watching that, we apologize for any of the technical difficulty we have here, but back in the game, not much is going on since we cut off here, but Eric looks like he's going to play a Gurmag Angler in his turn here. Ryan, he's got only 4 mana available to him. He's Yep. With him attempting another spell in his turn, it's looking like Eric, even though it came late game, is going to be able to swing this game around into his favor. Ryan, for such a large period of the game, was on the upper hand, but just showing the incredible power of Delver and of Deathrite Shaman, of Gurmag Angler. The deck really has a lot of playability to it. So much so that it's, of course it's tier 1 deck. There's a reason why this deck performs well and consistently. It can navigate these crazy puzzles that other decks in the format put before it, and it can do it in a game of inches or in complete blowouts. What we see here is that Ryan is going to pay the 4 mana. He's going to cast another Lodestone. We'll see if this resolves here in a minute. I'm just going to take a look at his hand. It looks like he's just got a land in hand, but Ryan doesn't know that, so we'll see if it resolves. It will. End of turn, it's not going to matter much because Deathrite Shaman's just going to should be able to close this game out. He's going to take 2 more to Ryan's head, and leaving Ryan with 5 life left. Eric only up now to 6. Let's see where we're going here. Should be able to close the game out in relatively short order. The Gurmag will trade with the Lodestone. And what else will Eric decide to do? Will he leave up his mana, or will he rather choose to cast a spell here that could, potentially give him more of an advantage? But, the double Deathrite, it's questionable. I think he put himself on a slightly faster clock. He's got 2 Underground Seas. The problem is he would only put Ryan to 1 if both of them are used, and he has to have 2 instants or sorceries in the graveyard to be able to do so. And judging by Ryan's side of the field, I don't think Ryan has any instants or sorceries. And I look at Eric's side of the field, and if he's just got the 1 Gurmag Angler in the graveyard, he needs instants and sorceries in the graveyard to interact with this. Now Eric's deck is full of those, so it really is questionable right there. Oh, it looks like he does have 1 card in the graveyard. That will actually be helpful for him because it'll buy him the little bit more damage. So now Eric can not only take the 2 that is in his graveyard, but he can also swing in with one of the Deathrites, which would allow him 3 points of damage instead of just 2. So, looks like he goes to Eric's turn. Eric's will pick up, is that a Flooded Strand? And can't tell what the other card is. From Ryan's end here, he's needing to get something. Not sure what that something is, but this has become a game of stalemate because Eric is at 6. Had he chosen to race Ryan, putting Ryan down to even a slightly lower health than 3, that's all he needed to do here. Eric can just top deck a Lightning Bolt, which, that would be amazing if he does that. Ryan looks like he's got some sort of a Ghostly Prism in hand. That should be able to be interesting if he casts it. Armageddon. That could put a damper on the board. Problem is he has to be able to actually tap out to do so, and he will cast Armageddon, putting Ryan down to 1 because he did tap the Ancient Tomb, which is going to be the nail that seals the coffin, and Eric's just going to cast, Deathrite Shaman's ability and put Ryan down to -1, and players realize, the terrible mistake that was to cast Armageddon off of Ancient Tomb, and that's why you check Delver of Secrets before casting, or Deathrite Shaman before doing something like that. All right, we'll be back in just a minute here. Players are going to be ready for Game 3. The score tied here is at 1-1. So we'll go ahead and communicate down there to the players and let them know that make sure everything's nice and neat.
That's what I was thinking.
If you hadn't noticed, there's Ryan got an interesting sort of a playmat there. It's actually a gift given to him. Looks like it's actually the Dresden Files. And Eric's playing the Star City Invitational qualifier here. Mats, but players are looking at their decks. Wonder if they're making any more last minute changes. We are at Game 3. Players are shuffling up, presenting their decks. 8 minutes remaining on round, roughly 7.5 now, but all right. Well, welcome to Game 3. All right, we'll see. Does Eric choose to keep this hand, or does Ryan keep his hand? Looks like both players will elect to keep. Ryan will be on the play, and looks like he's going to start with the Mox Diamond, discarding planes. And go ahead and cast, or play a City of Traders rather, and pass it back to Eric. Eric's going to be looking at his side of the field here. What's going to lead with? We'll see his hand in just a moment. There it is. Eric's going to be leading on a Flooded Strand, potentially sacrificing, and yep, he is going to sacrifice it and go grab a Delver of Secrets. Very good first turn play in this deck because it's going to allow him the early beats that he needs. City of Traders is going to have him tap for 2, and he also get a Mox Diamond, and Ryan's going to throw out the Trinisphere and just kind of hope and pray that it maybe it'll stick. We'll see. Eric's going to go ahead and force of will that. Looks like pitching Ataxian Probe, taking 1 damage, 1 life loss, and no Trinisphere. Bad Trinisphere. Alright. What an amazing top deck, too. He flips a Force of Will to flip his Delver of Secrets. That was good. That was juicy. It's going to allow him a little bit more interaction now with Ryan's deck. And also we're going to put the punishment to Ryan by wastelanding his City of Traders, saying, I don't like what your game plan is, and we're gonna stop that nonsense right away. Go ahead and cast the Brainstorm off the 1 mana that he has. And I think he actually kept all 3 on top of that. That's not usually the way that you elect to play a card like Brainstorm, but if you want to play it like Ponder, you can do it. We've got Ryan go ahead and leading off Ancient Tomb. Eric's taking a quick look at his hand, deciding what he wants to do. I think he's just going to go for the Wasteland, the Ancient Tomb again, denying Ryan the mana that Ryan desperately needs, because he needs to get to 4, because once he can start to get to 4, he can put down a lot of the threats that he has in his board, which is the whole reason he even plays these 4-drop threats. He wants to get them out quickly, and with Eric denying him any ability to have mana besides the Mox Diamond, and this game has become one-sided in the other direction. You'd think Eric would be the one playing mono white Stax, judging by what Ryan has on the board, but it's the other way around, because Grixis Delver is just amazing at what it does, and it can hit you in a lot of different angles, a lot of different ways in which other decks don't have a lot of interaction to. Grixis Delver puts a lot of pieces in a lot of good places. Cards like Stifle, Force of Will, Daze, Wasteland, the decks like that put pressure on the format. Alright, Ryan's going to go ahead and try to get a Sphere of Resistance. Unfortunately, that's not what he actually needs. To be able to survive here, Ryan needs something that will stop the Delver. And Sphere of Resistance is not going to be that card. But you might as well play it. If you got it in his hand, he can't do anything else. Why not? Why not cast Sphere of Resistance? I can give you a couple good reasons why not in this position, because Ryan actually needs more mana now than he did before. And with Eric wastelanding him 3 times now, Ryan looking at his hand and just dumping it out. Looks like Ryan's going to be conceding this game. Eric's going to go ahead and lay out his hand, and the players will finish it up. 2 minutes, 30 seconds left. Ryan will go to -1, and Eric will take this victory. So yeah, guys, that was Mono White Stax versus Grixis Delver. Even though it looked a little bit dicey, a little bit unsure in some moments, you can see just how versatile that deck is. Grixis Delver, it's quoted as Tier 1 for a very good reason. And Mono White Stax, if you're wondering why not many people elect to play it as often, because there's a lot of Delver in the format. And there's a lot of other decks that are similar to Delver, and you need kind of the right sort of interaction, or the right sort of hand with a deck like Mono White Stax to actually make some sort of a difference on the decks that are so prevalent in the format now. Grixis Delvers and other decks that are low to the ground, Death and Taxes, so many others in the format right now, and you gotta have some sort of answers. You gotta have some sort of early game things to interact. And if you don't have that, it's not gonna go the way you intended. So, yep, this was Mono White Stax versus Grixis Delver. Thanks for watching, guys, and hope you enjoyed. Have a great day.